Hey guys, so this is video number 2 for the cactus. You should have already created the pot portion of your cactus. So now what you can do is when you get to your computer, make sure you're at the same computer that you were working at before, and you're going to go ahead and click on the instructions. So Google Chrome. At this point, somebody probably has already typed in the website, so it should be fairly easy to type it in. If you just start typing, it should recognize one of the websites, and then you can go ahead and just click on it instead of having to type in the entire thing. Scroll down to where you're at for the steps. So part 2, we're going to create the cactus shape. Then I'm going to go to Illustrator. I'm going to wait for it to see if it starts bouncing. Once it starts bouncing, you know that it's going to open. Be patient with these computers. Don't just keep clicking. And then from here, you can either open a recent item, or if you don't get this window, you can go up to File and Open Recent Files, or Open. If you can remember what you saved it as, you can always search up in this top right corner here. If you click on the magnifying glass, and then you can search for your project there by name. So it says step 1, using the ellipse tool, draw an ellipse. So if you can remember, if you hold down this square tool, you should have an ellipse tool. Okay, so now I'm on the ellipse tool. You can make your cactus off of your workspace, so off of your pot for right now, and then you can move it back into the pot once you get to that part. So what you want to do is, it says to color it in green. If you don't want your cactus to be green, it doesn't have to be green. You can double click on the color. You can move your arrows here to find, I'm going to do mine kind of lime green, press OK. But once again, since I don't have any stroke or outline color on the pot, I don't want it on my cactus either. So I know it's selected because it's blue, and I want to hit none again for that outline. Then I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and move it to where I want it. If you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger at this point. You can move it. And then don't worry about it overlapping your pot right now, because I'll show you how you can put it into your pot in just a minute. So you're going to now go to Effect, Warp, Arc. So you're going to come up here, Effect, Warp, Arc, and you're going to follow the steps just like we did above. And we're going to make sure it says horizontal. We're going to make sure it says arc. This is supposed to be set at 0, the bend. The horizontal 0, the vertical -35. Press preview, press OK. Take your cactus shape and place it into the flower pot. For this, press Ctrl X or Ctrl B. Now, they must not have been using a Mac, they must have been using a PC. So in order to get this inside of the pot, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. So if you notice here, there are some shortcuts. So if you like shortcuts on the keyboard, you can always look to the right of a command and you can see those shortcuts. So send to back. If you press send backward and your cactus is really large, you'll get your cactus will show through right here where it overlaps. So make sure you press send to back. If you get that little overhang, you know that you have to go back in, go up to Object, Arrange, and then Send to Back. So at this point, your cactus should be inside of your pot, and then you can move it however you think is necessary. Now at my point, I think my pot's a little big, so I'm going to readjust my pot size so that it looks a little bit more proportional. Some people even got a little creative and made 2 cactuses, so cacti, if you will. So you can change it however you would like to. Now we're going to create the eyes. Step 1, we're going to use the ellipse tool, which we already have selected. I would work off of your cactus so that you can then move your eyes back onto the cactus when you have them the way you want them to look. So right now it's green, so I'm going to go back up and I'm going to hit this little swatch here so that it's black and add a small white circle. That's the eye. So then I'm going to make another, I'm on my ellipse tool, I'm going to make another little circle, and then I'm going to select it to be white. I use my selection tool, I can then move it to where I want it to look. If you need to make it smaller, remember, use that selection tool, the black arrow, and you can move things and you can resize things. If you click and drag over the entire eye, okay, make that box around it, it will select both circles. So then what I can do is on my keyboard I can press Control-C and I can have copy. So then I have 2 of the same. If you keep it all selected, it will move both circles for you. If you select off of that, the 2 circles won't be selected anymore, so you'll have to reselect them. And you can put your eyes here. If you need to move it, you can use your arrows, however you want it to look. Okay. Now notice I'm working off of my white square here. That's okay. At the end, I can highlight everything that I've done and I can move it. I can even resize it. I can move it down to where I want it to be. I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. So it's really okay if you work off of your space a little bit. So step 3 was just creating that, copying and pasting. Step 4, let's position the eyes where they belong. Now, creating the mouth, I would work off of your cactus again. You're going to use the ellipse tool. You're going to make sure it's the color you want. I want it to be black, so I'm going to come over here. If you notice here, there's a color swatch, and you can just do black and white easily there too. So I'm going to work off of that. I'm going to make a ellipse. I'm going to click and drag. Then I'm going to make sure it's selected. So using my selection tool, I make sure it's selected. And then I'm going to come up to Effect, Warp, Arc. And this gets a little tricky because we're going to change the bend at this point, which we haven't done yet. And then you need to make sure your vertical's at 0, your horizontal's at 0. You can click Preview and press OK. Now from here, it's a little weird because this is your shape, but we've bent it. So down here is where it shows up. So if you want to reshape it, you just click on these little arrows and you can make it however you want it to look. Much larger, you can space it out, however you think. So once you have it the way you want it, you can then click in the middle of that and drag it to where you want it. Now always remember, you can use your arrows at that point on your keyboard and you can change it by just moving your arrows. Place the mouth between the eyes, however you want yours to look. Mine's a little bit larger, so maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller here. Keep in mind, this is your cactus, so it can look however you want it to look. Now, draw the prickles. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to make a second recording, so once you're to that point, you can then go to the next video and watch or draw the prickles. And I think we have to do the flower still. Okay? Remember, File, Save. Make sure it's saved in Documents. And it's saved as your last name because there are a lot of repeats of first names in these classes. Let's see if it'll pull up my save. Okay, Documents, Wenger, Save. Replace, press OK, and then you can quit Illustrator. Then your Chrome should pop up in the top left. Chrome, quit Google Chrome. Okay, that way everything's properly shut down. You don't see any black dots underneath anything we're not using. So Safari, you can quit that too.